Hello my friends. This is Jassie and Techno Geek Brain Channel with news from the world of gadgets, technology, and science. Today's episode. Christmas update of Telegram channel design, reposts of publications in history, and much more. Fire vortex on the Sun, which is 10 times larger than the Earth, showed in the dynamics. Starlink has been licensed to connect 2,000 smartphones directly to communications satellites. SpaceX sets new Falcon 9 reusability record. The UK will produce more electricity from wind, solar and water than from fossil fuels at the end of the year. Well, let's get started. The next update of Telegram Messenger has been released, which brings with it a number of curious innovations. Channel administrators can now set wallpapers, emoji statuses, and profile logos, and users can repost publications from channels in the history. In addition, Telegram Premium can now be given to several people at the same time, and additional prizes can be given out in drawings. After installing the update, Telegram channel administrators will be able to change the appearance of their channels as they gain levels thanks to subscribers' votes or drawings. You can change the color of the title and background of messages, as well as the color and logo of the channel cover in your profile. In addition, emoji statuses and wallpapers are supported for all channel visitors. To change the appearance of the channel, you should open the settings and select the design section. The number of available customizations depends on the channel level, which also allows you to publish more stories and add emoji from custom sets as reactions. Users can now repost posts from channels in stories. This will add a copy of the post to the repost story, which can be moved, scaled, and enhanced with different design elements as needed. When viewing such a history, you can go to the original message in the channel with a single click. Users can repost all types of messages in the history, including photos, files, voice, and video messages. Another new feature is the ability to give a Telegram Premium subscription to several people at once. In the Messenger's settings menu, a Give Premium section has been added, with which you can select up to 10 users and literally give them a premium subscription with a single tap. New options became available when conducting various drawings. When setting up a draw in the channel, you can choose a longer period of time for the draw, as well as supplement the subscription prize with your own prizes, such as promo codes or something else. In addition to this, the option Show Winners has been added to the draw settings, which will allow all participants to make sure that the results are honest. If this option is activated, a list of winners will be published in an animated message after the draw is over. Telegram will randomly select the winners and automatically send them codes to activate their premium subscriptions, while channel administrators will still be responsible for awarding additional prizes. Telegram users have previously been able to see a list of those who have viewed a story and the reactions they have left, while channel administrators have access to detailed story statistics. Now, administrators will have access to reactions to stories. In addition, users and channels will be able to see people who have reposted a story. Fire vortex on the Sun, which is 10 times larger than the Earth, showed in the dynamics. Between February 6th and 7th, 2022 on the Sun formed a fire vortex of colossal size, many times larger than our planet. Miguel Claro, a well-known astrophotographer and popularizer of science, captured the described vortex on the Sun and presented an impressive accelerated video. Claro filmed the phenomenon for 2 days. The images show the plasma loop moving back and forth over the solar surface. This process led to a coronal mass ejection, a phenomenon in which a cloud of solar matter is powerfully ejected into outer space. The photographer recorded 692 raw video clips of 900 frames each. In total, he got 622,800 frames with a capacity of 3 bytes. About 22%, 138,400 images, of them were processed by him. The 4K resolution time-lapse he created consists of 692 videos, each of which is the result of combining the top 200 frames from each raw video. Claro details the size of the plasma loop, the size of which he estimated by analyzing the pixels of the image. He estimates that the solar prominence was 10 times the size of Earth in height and extended around the visible boundary of the solar disk for thousands of kilometers. The photograph of the plasma loop was featured in the 2022 International Astronomical Photographer of the Year competition organized by the Royal Observatory of Greenwich, ROG, in London, where it won the award in the Our Sun category. This discovery not only demonstrates the grandeur and magnitude of cosmic phenomena, but also emphasizes the importance of astronomical photography in their study. Observations of such phenomena allow scientists to gain a deeper understanding of the nature of solar activity and its impact on both space weather and our planet. Starlink has been licensed to connect 2,000 smartphones directly to communications satellites. As satellite communication technology develops, it is becoming available to ordinary users of cellular networks. According to Bloomberg, last Thursday the Federal Communications Commission issued Starlink a temporary license to test the technology of direct connection of smartphones with satellites in the United States. The experiment will be conducted in partnership with telecom operator T-Mobile US. Formally, the temporary license for 6 months was issued to the parent aerospace company SpaceX, which owns the assets of Starlink. In the course of the test is expected to involve about 2,000 user devices in the US and 840 satellites from among the low-orbit constellation deployed Starlink over the territory of the country. Smartphones will be able to communicate directly with satellites, eliminating the need to use ground-based stations. This technology, when commercialized, should be useful for providing communications in remote areas or as part of disaster relief efforts when terrestrial infrastructure may be damaged. This is not the only project of this kind in the US, as ATT is going to use the infrastructure of the satellite operator AST SpaceMobile, and Apple smartphones have been providing emergency text messaging in areas where conventional cellular communications do not work for years. Starlink's operations in the US are subject to certain restrictions, which are necessary to eliminate the impact of the satellite network on terrestrial networks. SpaceX sets new Falcon 9 reusability record. Increasing the frequency of space flights is impossible without reusable first stages of rockets and even spacecraft. This is one of the most important tasks for paving the space road to the Moon, Mars, and beyond. Today, SpaceX took another step in that direction by setting a new record for the reuse of Falcon 9 launch vehicle first stages. The same upper stage B-1058 was used for the 19th time. Falcon 9 rocket launched at 0:24 local time on Saturday, December 23 from Cape Canaveral Space Center in Florida. The rocket's upper stage carried 23 SpaceX Starlink Internet satellites into low Earth orbit. The rocket's first stage, if the company is to be believed, went into spaceflight for the 19th time. This broke the previous reusability record for Falcon 9 first stages, set just a month ago. Fully on track, the Falcon 9 first stage returned to Earth, landing about 8.5 minutes after launch on an unmanned barge. Just read the instructions in waters in the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Florida. The upper stage also accomplished its mission of putting communications satellites into orbit. Their deployment began about 65 minutes after liftoff. SpaceX has so far performed more than 90 orbital launches in 2023. Most of them were aimed at the Starlink broadband mega constellation, which currently consists of nearly 5,200 operational satellites. The UK will produce more electricity from wind, solar and water than from fossil fuels at the end of the year. In the final days before the new year, the UK's energy sector has a good chance of reaching a turning point for the first time in history. With the right circumstances, annual electricity generation from the main renewable sources solar, wind and hydro could exceed the electricity generated by burning fossil fuels such as oil and gas. The closest the British came to an energy transition was in the COVID year of 2020. The decline in industry and commerce led to lower demand for electricity and, as a result, lower generation. This has made it possible to make do with renewable sources of electricity generation in many cases. although it has taken a trick. In the UK, around 5% of electricity is generated by burning wood pellets. The wood is usually sourced from the rainforests of South America. As trees have a tendency to grow back, such fuel is categorized as a renewable source. In the UK, it is classified as biomass. If the electricity generated by this biomass is added to solar, wind and hydroelectric power, then 2020 can be considered the year when fossil energy in the UK gave way to renewable energy for the first time. Figures for the country excluding Northern Ireland for the last 3 months show that this time truly green energy from light, wind and water could surpass oil and gas even without taking biomass into account. This should be helped by the weather and, above all, by the winds, as well as by the reduced demand for electricity on the eve of the holidays, when production activities come to a standstill. The graph shows the difference between net generation from renewable sources, light, wind and hydropower, and electricity generated from fossil sources by year. Exceeding the zero mark on certain days of the year indicate the dominance of renewable sources. The 2023 figures, marked in red, as is easy to see, indicate significant green generation. At the same time, the annual surplus of renewables over fossil power is relatively small, just a little over 1,000 megawatt-hours at the December 22, 2023. This does not guarantee that the milestone will be maintained, but the likelihood remains high. Another significant development in the UK's renewable energy sector is that green generation could cover household electricity demand this year. In theory, the population will soon be able to live off renewable resources in the off-season. The nuance is that for the same reason, the population is starting to save money on the consumption of much more expensive green electricity. The good news is that this also reduces fossil energy consumption by being the first to use green energy, leaving dirty generation in reserve. If the targets can't be met this year, it will be even easier to do so in 2024. For example, a 1.7 gigawatts offshore wind farm will start operating in the country, and the UK's last coal-fired power station is due to cease operation. This is the end of this episode, my friends. Put your thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and you don't miss new videos. Bye-bye.